Former Virginia Governor Doug Wilder, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Good to be with you, Sam. My pleasure.
Indeed. First topic I'd like to touch on is you were Lieutenant Governor of Virginia, along with many titles, positions you've held. You were a Democrat at that time. You were presiding over the Virginia State Senate. Can you explain to the viewers how you could be a member of the Democratic Party, but wearing the hat of lieutenant governor, fairly and impartially administer and preside over the Senate? I'm sure people would like to understand how you had to divide those two duties and see them through respectively.
Well, I was lucky to be elected to the state Senate in 1969. When I was elected, I was the first elected a member of the Senate since Reconstruction. And that being the case, the Democrats pretty much were in numerical control of the legislature. The day that I was elected, another veterinarian was elected from Woodstock, Virginia. And he was Republican. And he and I became very, very good friends. And so we never let party divide us. There were things that parties agreed upon. And as I said, during that time, Democrats were in total control. And that, as you would know, shifted considerably in the 70s and the 80s. And now you have it from election to election as who might be in control. Same thing in Washington, D.C. That was pretty much what was going on. But I was lucky enough to win the seat that had been held by the former Lieutenant Governor, J. Sergeant Reynolds. And I sat in his seat, and he was Lieutenant Governor then behind me when I was in the Senate. And I would talk to another good friend from Smithfield area, and very conservative, VMI graduate, but very fair-minded. And so I learned early on that you don't judge, as you know the old expression, you don't judge a book by its cover. You don't judge people by party affiliation. You don't judge them by race. You don't judge them by gender. You don't judge them at all. Let the facts speak for themselves. And when you're in these offices, you're not there to represent yourself. You're there to represent people. And the majority of the people in the city of Richmond at that time happened not to be African American. And so I didn't run from a district when I was elected to the Senate. I ran to be elected from the city at large. And so that carried a message with it. When I was in the state Senate, that carried a message. Obviously, when I ran for Lieutenant Governor, we know what the makeup of the state population is as it relates to race, and certain pockets of the state were considered Republican, certain pockets were considered Democrat. But I never paid any attention to that. I've always wanted to be where the people were. I wanted to talk with the people. More importantly, I wanted to listen to the people. I still do.
Well, you've done that in that context, but I'm imagining that you're up there on the podium in the wing of the Capitol with the state Senate, and you have two senators who are, shall we say, disagreeing with each other. One's a Democrat, one's a Republican, but you have to rule in the favor of one or the other.
Right. And I always ruled in favor of what I would consider right, what I would consider what's in the best judgment of the people. To give you an illustration of that, I'm glad you mentioned it. uh, Virginia didn't have a cabinet form of government. The governor was the person, and department heads were there. There was no secretary of the treasury, no secretary of transportation. There were no cabinets at all. So I was in the Senate, and Linwood Holton was the governor. He favored and wanted to have a cabinet form of government. And I thought it was good. Thought it was a pretty good thing to do. And voting time was coming around, and my party, the Democrats, for the most part, didn't want it, not at all. And so when the voting came on, I voted for the cabinet form of government. People thought I'd gone crazy. And Holton was just excited. You know, he sent down one of his secret people, service people, to say that the governor wants to see you in his office. I said, well, thank you. And I went on doing what I was doing. And then they sent the message back in there again about a half hour later, or 15 or 20 minutes later. Said the governor wants to see you relative to your vote. I said, would you tell the governor that I have other business to attend to down here, not just his? And so when I went up there to ultimately see him, he was very, very pleased. And I can tell you that party meant nothing to me at that level. What was most important for the people, and I'm glad you and I had occasion and have the occasion to draw what I call a most illustrative example of what party means. Now, can you imagine now going back to that form of government when you didn't have secretaries, you didn't, now incidentally, when I was ruling on the matter, whether it was a Democrat bill or a Republican bill, that likewise didn't bother me either. And they knew it. The members of the body knew that. They knew that they would get a fair shot. And they knew that I would rule according to what the order of the day was. And we were conditioned with the manual as to how we proceed, same rules that apply to the Senate of the United States Senate, were the same rules that we abided by. And I think I really would like to see more of that return to government today, and at the national level as well as the state level. Sure, you're in charge today, but nothing is in charge forever.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't, Governor. Your insights on this and this panorama of past years is a great value, and I know the viewers will appreciate it. And as always, thank you so much for your time.
Always good to be with you, Sam. My best. Very good.